Students, ask your friends to join. Only 125 students are there. Ask your friends to join the class. Okay, today we are going to see about the addressing modes and also the ALP and also the signal diagram. There is a pin diagram of 8051. So microcontroller is a programmable device which is used to perform a particular function repeatedly. Okay, and we have two types of memory: program memory and data memory. So in the program memory, the program will be stored, and in the data memory is used to store the data, what we are reading from the device. Okay. And we saw about all the instruction sets of 8051. And before going into this addressing modes, let me repeat this signals pin available. The signals of 8051. Okay. As I said earlier, there are three ports: port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. Okay. So port 0 is used for two functions. One is for parallel data transfer, and also it represents AD0 to AD7. So AD0 to AD7 is nothing but the address and data bus. Actually, here 8051 microcontroller is an 8-bit microcontroller, and here the data bus is 8-bit and the address bus is 16-bit. Okay, so here see the data bus is combined with the address bus here, AD0 to AD7. So here we have A0 to A7 8-bit address and also the data D0 to D7. Okay, and here next one is port 1 from it is used only for parallel data transfer, no other function for that. Then coming to this port 2, it is used for two functions. One is used for data transfer, another one is it is used to hold the address bit, 8-bit address bit, A8 to A15. Okay, A8 to A15. And next, coming to this port 3, it is used for two functions. One is for parallel data transfer. Another one is it is used to represent some signals also. There is the 70 pin is used to represent the read signal. Then we have the write signal. Then T1 is timer 1 and T0 is timer 0. We have two timers. And then we have INT1. This is the interrupt here. Two interrupt lines, INT1 and INT0. Then for transmitting the serial and receiving the data, we have transmit data and receive data. So these are the other function of port 3. So it is used for parallel data transfer and also it represents some signals: read, write, timer 1, timer 0. Then we have INT1 and INT0, that is the interrupt signals. And here we have this for serial transmission, transmit data and receive data. Okay. So apart from this ports, we have some special signals also. That is the 9th pin, that is the reset, okay, RST. So this EA is external access. So suppose if you are referring the external memory, the external access pin will be used. And next one is the ALE signal. ALE is address latch enable signal, which is used to demultiplex this AD0 to AD7. When ALE is equal to 1, the content of AD0 to AD7 will be address. And if ALE equal to 0, the content of AD0 to AD7 will be data. ALE signal. Okay. Next one is the PSEN signal. This program strobe enable signal, which is used to access the program memory. And at the top we have XTL1 and XTL2. Through this only the crystal will be connected. We have connected 12 megahertz of crystal, and the clock frequency, the clock pulse will be given to this 8051. Okay. So this is it is a 40 pin, and we have VCC as a 40th pin, and the ground is the 20th pin at the bottom level. So it is a 40 pin IC chip 8051. I hope I'm repeating this. I want all the students to study this because very important question. Okay. So now next go to the addressing modes. There are 8 addressing modes we have. Register addressing, direct addressing, indirect addressing, immediate addressing, relative addressing, absolute addressing, long addressing, and index addressing. So these are the 8 addressing modes available in 8051. The first one is register addressing. Actually here register addressing means all the operands will be registered. So we are going to say what the operands will be, how the operands will be, whether it is a register or the data from a memory location, or it is a direct immediate data. So that is used to represent the addressing modes. Okay. First one, register addressing. So here the operands are registers. So right, see here, move A comma R0. A is a register and R0 is another register. So the operands are register. Okay. So direct addressing is here, move A comma 88H. So 88H refers the address of the special function register. Can anyone say what is the register that is available in the memory location 88? Refer your notes and tell me. What is the special function register available in 88? Be fast. What is the register available in the address 88? That is, we can refer the special function register. What is the special function register available in the memory location 88? You'll be telling the answer. Shall I wait? No one, huh? No one is able to answer? Yes, correct. Very good. Swati, yes. Thank you, Swati. Yeah. So in the memory location 88, TCON, there is nothing but timer control register is available. Okay. Thank you, Swati, and appreciation also. So what I'm doing is the content of 88, there is nothing but the timer control register is transferred to accumulator. So when you have the instructions like this, it is called as direct addressing. Okay, so register addressing means all the operands must be registered. Okay, so direct addressing means one of the operand must be a special function register memory location. Okay, and next one is indirect addressing. Is example is move A comma at R0. At R0 means data in that memory location must be transferred to accumulator. So at R0, so R0 will contain a value. Suppose again let us take R0 is 88 means data in that timer control register, that is 88, will be transferred to accumulator. So this is indirect addressing. So immediate addressing is data is available in the instruction itself. Okay. So move A comma hash 77. Suppose if you are representing the data in the instruction, it must be suffixed by the character hash. Move A comma hash 77. So accumulator A is a 8-bit register. So we are moving the data 77 to the accumulator. Like this, we have a DPTR register. Alright. DPTR is data pointer register, which is used to refer the external memory. While we are using that DPTR register, we have to write this move X DPTR comma hash 4500. Okay, so because DPTR is 16-bit register and we can move 16-bit data. So in the previous class we saw the program, no? So to store the data into the memory location. Okay. So in indirect addressing, so one operand will be an indirect address. Okay. Immediate addressing is one operand must be a data. It is available in the instruction. Next one is the relative addressing. So we have the jump instructions, that is already we saw about it. Short jump means from that memory location, it can jump to minus 128 and plus 127 locations. Relative, the short jump instruction comes under this relative addressing. And absolute addressing means in the memory from that location, it can jump or it can call a subroutine that is placed in 2K. 2K size. Okay, there is 2 into 1024 memory location. So 2 into 1024. What is this? 1040. So from that memory location, it can jump or it can call a subroutine that is placed in 1048 memory location. Okay. So in absolute addressing, we have two instructions, absolute call and absolute jump. So the subroutine must be placed within 1048 memory location. And when you go for this absolute jump, we can jump to the memory location that is available between 1048 memory location. And here long addressing, we have two instructions, long jump and long call. So here long call is used to call a subroutine and long jump is just the control that is transferred. We are jumping to that memory location. So while we are using this instruction, we can call and also we can jump to any memory locations that is available in the 64 KB of program memory. Okay. So how we get this 64? The address bus is 16 bits. So 2 power 16 is equal to 64 kilobytes. Okay. So for long addressing, the instructions long call and long jump will come. And index addressing, so here the 16-bit address in a base register is added to the positive address. See here, we are jumping to this memory location. So how we are finding the memory location is A plus DPTR. Okay. So A is an 8-bit data and DPTR is 16-bit. We have to add this and then we have to jump to that memory location. And here again we have this move instruction. So the content of this A plus DPTR, we have to find the memory location by adding this both, and the data in that memory location is transferred to accumulator. Okay. And here coming to this instruction, we are adding A plus program counter and data in that memory location is transferred to accumulator. So that's all about this index addressing. So first one is we saw about register addressing. So in this the operands must be registered. Next one is direct addressing. So one of the operand must refer the special function register. So indirect addressing is at or 0. Okay. Next one is immediate addressing is one of the data must be one of the operand must be a data. Then relative addressing is the short jump instruction comes under this relative addressing. So absolute addressing is jumping to the control transfer to a memory location that is available within 1048 memory locations. Okay, that is absolute addressing. A long addressing means to anywhere in between the 64K bytes of program memory, we can transfer the control. And index addressing is some program offset value will be available to that memory location, or from that memory location, we can transfer the data. Okay, so that's all about this index addressing. So now we are going to Unit 5. That is interfacing with microcontroller. Okay, so Unit 4 is over. So Unit 5 is interfacing with microcontroller. So this is the syllabus for Unit 5. So first we'll be seeing about the timers, 8051. We have two timers here. Then serial port programming, that is how we are going to transfer the data in serial. And interrupts, about the interrupts will be studying. And LCD and keyboard interface, already we have studied all this LCD and keyboard interface in the third unit. And again that will be repeated. And next one is ADC, DAC and sensor interfacing. So in this we will not study about sensor interfacing. Then external memory interface and stepper motor and waveform, how we are going to control the stepper motor, and the waveform generator, how we are going to generate the waveform, the sine wave, cos wave, like that. Okay. So first, let's see about the timers. See, already you have seen this diagram. So this is a simple block diagram of a microcontroller. Okay. So here we have two timers, timer 1, timer 2. And as I said, there are two types of memory, program memory and data memory. So program memory is 4K bytes, which is used to store the program. And if the program size is larger, means we can extend the memory also. And 128 bytes of internal RAM is available. So this is the data memory. And to control the interrupts, we have an interrupt control unit. And we have the CPU here. Then the oscillator, which is used to produce the clock pulse. And we have the bus control, and we have 4 I/O ports. Okay, port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. So port 0 is used for data transfer, and also it represents AD0 to AD7. So P2 is used for, can you tell me, can you anyone tell P2 is used for data transfer, and also it represents the address bus, okay? And P1 is used for data transfer, and P3 is used for data transfer, and also it represents some signals. And this is a serial unit, control unit, which is used to transmit and receive the data in serial. So now we are going to study about these timers. Okay, two timers are available, timer 1 and timer 2. So already you have studied in the third unit timer. What is the chip number for the programmable timer? Chip number for the programmable timer. You can refer it as a chip number for the programmable timer. Chip number for the programmable timer. Harini? Harini? Varshini? Varshini? What is the chip number for the programmable timer? 555. What is 555? See, we don't have the numbers with the 555. Programmable timer, yeah, Ujjwala, right? 8253. The programmable timer chip number is 8253. So that only I am repeating the chip numbers. In the university question, they directly they won't give this programmable timer. They will ask you to explain the function of 8253. So that you'll be writing something. The total 13 marks will be turned to 0. Okay. So study the chip numbers also. Don't forget that. 8253 is the programmable timer. So here we don't have any chips or whatever it is. So the function of the 825 timer is available inside this single chip itself. Okay. So here we have two timers. So let's see here, TH0 and TL0 and TH1 and TL1. So here this is for timer 0 and this is for timer 1. So here only we have to load the values. So this is the 8-bit register and this is another 8-bit register. Suppose if I want to load, suppose I want, for example, let us take the traffic light controller. Okay, so traffic light controller, we have mainly three signals, no? Green, yellow, and orange. Okay, green, yellow, and orange. So which signal will be glowing for more time, for a long duration? We are having three signals in the traffic light: red, green, and yellow. Am I right? So which light which signal will be glowing for a long time? We have red, green, and yellow. You got it? So which light will be glowing for a long time? Am I audible? Kalyan Kumar, audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Yeah, Varshini, now only the answer is coming from Varshini. Yeah, the three lights, no, three signals, red, green, and yellow. So which signal will be glowing for a long duration? Maximum duration? Maximum time? Red. So those who are saying red, put yes. Green, yellow. Have you seen the signals while you're crossing the road? Question. Actually, here in the traffic light, no, the signals we have three signals: red, green, and yellow. Okay. So I want so red will be glowing for some minutes, and green will be glowing for some minutes, and yellow will be glowing for some minutes. So I want which signal takes more duration, whether it is red, green, or yellow. Maximum duration, maximum time. Yeah, red. Okay, red. Okay. So red signal is used to stop the vehicle, right? And green is a signal that you can cross, you can travel, and yellow is a signal that is used for waiting state. So every three signals will be having different time. Okay. So for example, let us take red can be glowed for 15 minutes. Okay, and green is for 10 minutes. And let us take yellow is a minimum time, and let us take it is for 2 minutes. Okay, let us take these three signals. So actually these signals are available in a single road. And now the signal is there, and now we are going to cross that road. These signals are for the pedestrian to cross the road. So if it sees a red signal, the person has to wait. And if the green signal is on means, so the person can cross the road. And if there is yellow signal means, he will be in the ready state. Okay. So this actually here, what is the use of this timer is, so this values, so red can be glowed for 15 minutes and green for 10 minutes and yellow is for 2 minutes. So this value will be loaded in the timer register. That is TH0 and TL0 according to the need we want. So these minute time will be loaded. For example, let us take the red light. So it has to be in on state for 15 minutes. Okay. So that value must be loaded in this register TH01 TL0. So this is an 8-bit register and this is also another 8-bit register. Since it is 15 minutes, we can represent that by 8 bits itself. So the data can be loaded in this TL0. Okay. So suppose if we are going to represent the time, that is, if we have more time means we know we need more bits. That's more than the 8 bits. At that time, we can go for this THC. So 8 bits will be loaded here. If the counter value is more than the 8 bits, you can go for this THC. Okay. So like this, so if we have another application is, we can use this timer 1 also. So this is for timer 0 and this is for timer 1. So here another one important thing is, so this can be used as a timer and also a counter. See here at the bottom. So timer means, as I said earlier, so in this TL0, if you are putting the value 15 minutes, 15 is loaded in TL0. So there is timer means the register is incremented or decremented every machine cycle. So whenever the clock pulse is given to this, okay, the timer will increment or decrement the value. So let us see here. So I have loaded the data 15 in this TL0 register. So whenever it receives a clock pulse, the value will be decremented. Okay, well, for the first clock pulse, it will go to 14, 13, 12, 0 like this. And when it reaches 0, so the counting is over. Okay? So timer means, so it is incremented. There will be a change for every machine cycle. So machine cycle means For executing an instruction, we need the machine cycle. It is opcode fetch. What are the machine cycles? Actually, there are three phases, no? Fetch, decode, and execute. So fetch is a machine cycle, decode is another machine cycle, and last one is execute is another machine cycle. So there will be a change in the value for every machine cycle. The counter means, so when there is a transition from 1 to 0 in the clock pulse. So do you remember the clock pulse? The clock pulse have the transition from initially from 0 to 1, and it will be stable in that one state for a short time, and then it transfers to 0. So when there is a transition from 1 to 0, there will be a change in the data. So this counter, it can act as a timer and also a counter. So timer means the value will change for every machine cycle, and counter means the value will change if there is a transition from 1 to 0. Okay. So in the clock pulse, we'll be seeing the next slide. So in the clock pulse, we have two transitions, 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. So when there is a transition from 1 to 0, it will act as a counter. So I will be explaining the next slide also. To control this timer, we have the timer control register, and next one is, sorry, timer control register and timer mode register. Okay. So we have two timers, timer 1 and timer 2. And this TH0 and TL0 is used to load the values of timer 0, and TH1 and TL1 is used for timer 1. And to control this timers, we have a timer control register and a timer mode register. So these are the registers available which is used to control the timers, okay, function. So let's see about this timer mode register. So it is an 8-bit register. Okay. So this is 0 to 3 bits are used for timer 0, and the bit 4th to 7th bit is used for timer 1. So this 4 bits represents the same control signals. Okay. Here also we have gate. In timer 0 also we have gate. Then it is a counter or timer, and then it represents the mode. Here also gate, counter or timer, and then the modes. So next thing, what is the use of this gate signal? Gate signal is used to start or stop the timer or counter. It is used to control the timer to start or stop. And next one is we act as a counter or timer. So when it is 1, it acts as a counter, and when it is 0, it acts as a timer. And next one is we have the modes of operation, M1 and M0. So see here, if it is 0, 0, it acts as a 13-bit timer. And if it is 0, 1, it acts as a 16-bit timer. And if it is 1, 0, it acts as a 8-bit auto reload. And 1 mod means it acts as a split timer. That is, in this condition, timer 1 will not be used in mode 3. So depending upon the applications, we can go for this mode. Okay, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1. So 4 bits are used to control timer 1, and another 4 bits are used to control timer 0. So gate signal is used to control the timer, that is on and off. And the next to C/T bar is whether it is a counter or timer. And M1 and M0 represents the modes. So this is the structure of the timer mode register. Now let's see the timers in detail. That is the modes in detail. Okay. So the first one is 13-bit timer. Okay. So 13-bit timer. So we have here this, as I said here, THX and TL, TH and TL. So here no, TH and TL. So why I have used X is, what is X? We have studied digital, no? What is X? What is X? X, what is X? No answers. What is X? See, your computer science students, you must know this, no? So we have binary data 0 and 1. What does X refers? Yeah, don't care condition, right, Swati? It refers the don't care condition. That is, it can be either 0 or 1. Since we have two timers, 0 and 1, so I have written here X. So this X can be 0 or 1. Okay. So these two combined together, I have taken as TH0, 1. So 0, 1 is X. So like this TLX, okay, TL, we have 0 and 1. I have taken as don't care condition as X. Since here it is used as a 13-bit timer, actually here in TLX we are going to store the 8-bit data, and in THX 5 bits only we are going to use, because it is a 13-bit timer. So in TLX we have 8 bits, and here in TH we can store 5 bits. So totally we can get 13 bits. Okay. So we'll be loading the data in this register, and for every clock pulse, every pulse input, so this value will be decremented. Suppose, as I said earlier, 15 minutes I have loaded into this. Okay, so for the first clock pulse, the value will go to 14, and then for the second clock pulse, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 0. So when it comes to 0, it will affect this TFX. This is nothing but the timer overflow flag bit. Okay, so this is available in the timer control register. TFX is available in the timer control register. So when this value becomes 0, so it will affect the timer overflow flag bit that is available in the timer control register. By seeing that, we can say that the counting is over. Okay, and then this will call the interrupt. That is saying that the process, the counting, the number of I have counted completing 15 times. Okay, so it will call the interrupt. So as I said here, the ranges are from 0, 0, 0 to 1 FFF. How you get this range? Let's see here. So as I said, 13 bits we are going to use now. So 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 12. So we get 13 bits. So I've started from 0. So 13 bits. So actually, whenever we refer this, initially all the bits will be 0. Okay, so see here, all the bits will be 0. Okay. So finding this, combining as 84214. So 4 bits combined, we get 0, 0, 0, and 0. So 13, 14, 15, 16 is don't care. We are not going to bother about this. And the maximum value is all the bits will be 1. So whenever we find a range, so minimum value is all the bits. Suppose it is 8 bits or 4 bits, whatever it is. The minimum value is all the bits will be 0, and the maximum value is all the bits will be 1. Okay. So when I substitute all the bits to be 1, so I get here F, and this 4 bits combined together, I get an F, and this 4 bits combined together, I get an F, and here 1, so 1 is replaced here. Okay, so the range is from 0, 0, 0 to 1 FFF. Got it? Suppose if you are going for 16 bits, suppose if you are going for 16 bits, means can anyone tell me the range? So that you can add this 13, 14, and 15 in extra to that, and the range will be. So this is 13 bits. So the range is from 0, 0, 0 to 1 FF. So yeah, work it out. So put the 15 bits, 0 to 15, and minimum value, take all the bits as 0, 0. So you know this. This is 0, 0, 0. And maximum value, all the bits will be 1, 1, 1. So what is the maximum range for 16-bit data? What is the maximum value? So we are searching for paper and pen now. Say when you are coming to the class physically, okay, I think mostly in October we will be starting the classes. At the time you will be find it very difficult, because when you come to the class, immediately you will be asked to submit all the notes. The students take their notes then and there. Every day you have to have a separate note and take the notes. Because otherwise, the 2 or 3 days you have to write all the materials. You'll be completing all the 5 units also. So you'll be finding very difficult to see the PPTs, and you, when you're free, when the classes are going on, try to take the notes also. Okay. What is the maximum range for 16 bits? Yeah, I have taught this earlier in the first unit itself. Maximum range. If you are not answering, then the classes will be extended after 12:15 also. If you are answering only, we will be also be encouraged now. So just yeah, correct, Swati. Very good, Swati. Yes, yeah, 4F. Okay, thank you, thank you. 4F, excellent. There is one student to answer the question. Thank you, Swati. Yes. And let's go to the second mode. So here it is used as a 16-bit timer. Okay, 16-bit timer. So I'm going to use this THX as 8 bits and TLX also 8 bits. So totally we have 16 bits. So the range will be 0000 to 4F. Yeah. So when the counter value will be loaded into this, and when the counter value reaches 0, so this will affect the timer overflow flag bit that is available in the timer control register, and then it will call the enter. Okay, saying that I have completed the process. Okay, so this is mode 1 timer. So next one is the mode 2 timer. It is used as auto bit reload. Okay, 8-bit auto reload. So here, since it is 8 bits, so the range is from 00 to FF only. Okay, 8 bits. So depending upon the application, we can go for this mode. So initially, what is the function of this mode 2 is, suppose I want to count some data 10 times means, so 10 will be loaded in this TH register. Okay, this is in the TH. We have TH and also TL. So the initial value will be loaded into this. And when you start counting from this, the data will be transferred to TL. That is, the data 10 will be transferred to TL. And when it receives a clock pulse, it starts decrementing. It starts decrementing, and 10, 9, 8, 5, 4, 0. So when it reaches 0, it will affect this timer overflow flag bit, and it also interrupt this TH so that the value will be again loaded into this. Okay. So this is a repeated process. Suppose if you want some application to repeat 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, copy paste, we are doing this copy paste. Suppose the same content can be copied and pasted 10 times. So for this, we can use this type. Okay, actually internally it is using this only. So the microcontroller are using this only, but we don't know this. We copy the song 10 times. This we are repeating some process 10 times means we can go for this. So initially it will be loaded in this TH register. 10 times we are going to count. So 10 will be loaded. So when we are going to start this process, the 10 will be transferred to TL. And for every clock pulse, the value will be decremented. Okay, it will go for 9, 8, 7, 6. And when it is reaches 0, it will affect this timer overflow flag bit. And also at the same time, it will interrupt this TH so that the value in this, the 10 will be again loaded in this. Okay. So the process will be repeated. So here the maximum value is F of it. That is 256 can be loaded here. And next coming to this mode 3. So timer 1 is not used for this mode 3. Only timer 1 is 0 is used. Okay. So I have written here TL0. So it is used separately, TL0 and TX0. So if an application need only 8-bit data, we can go for this timer mode 3. Okay. So here 8-bit and 8-bit means FF, maximum value is FF. So when this reaches, it will interrupt this TF0 and it will go for the interrupt. And here when TH0 reaches 0, it will set the TF1. So here the timer overflow is 0 and here the timer overflow is 1. Okay. And it will call the interrupt. So these are the 4 modes of operation. And let's see the timer control register. So here we have TF1, that is as I said earlier, no overflow flag. This is TF1, and TR1 is used to control the timer on and off. So this is for timer 1. The same function is repeated for timer 0. Okay, TF1, F0 is the overflow flag bit, and TR0 is used to control the timer on and off. Next, IE1 is the interrupt enable. IE1, internal, external interrupt 1. And IT1 and IT0 is whether we are going for edge trigger or lever trigger. And next we have IE0 is external interrupt 0. And IT0 is whether we are going for edge or lever trigger. What is edge or lever trigger? See here, this is the clock pulse. Okay, so this is a transition from 0 to 1. From 0, we are going to 1. And this is another transition from 1 to 0. Okay. So level triggering means, so at that time, the voltage will be the proper voltage. The constant voltage will be there. See here. So this is 1. The voltage is 1. So it is called as level trigger. Okay. So edge trigger means, so when there is a transition from 0 to 1, it is called an edge. And also 1 to 0, it is also called an edge. It is positive edge and negative edge. Okay, that is why we are seeing this is so when there is the timer wants to know when we want to change the data, whether it is level triggered or edge triggered. So that must be mentioned to that. So here level means it's a stable voltage. Okay, so edge means there can be two type of transition: the 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. So that's all about this counter and timer register. Okay. So before ending the class, I want to discuss about it. So actually in unit 4 you have completed, so we are in unit 5, right? So from tomorrow about the assessment test, students be alert. From tomorrow we are going to write the assessment test, right? Assessment 2. So already the assessment 1 marks have been uploaded in Anna University website, and now we are going for assessment 2. So it is an so we have divided into two parts. So one is MCQ and another one is a part B question. Okay. So the portion for this is second half of unit 2 and unit 3. Second half of unit 2 and unit 3. So first is the MCQ questions. We have 50 MCQ questions. The timing is 1:15 to 2:15. So afternoon we don't have the classes, regular classes from tomorrow. So you'll be writing the assessment test too. Okay. So MCQ questions, we have to answer 50 questions. The timing is from 1:15 to 2:15. And the part B question is from timing 2:30 to 3 p.m. You have to write it, and then you have to post the PDF in the Google Classroom, right? Part B. So 2 questions will be given. So you can write of your own choice. So first question will be in the second half of the second unit, and the second question will be in the third unit. Okay, hope you got it. See here for the 20 batch students also, the final exams is MCQ. Students try to get more marks, study all the materials available, or you can go through the MCQ questions available in the net. You can Google it, and you have to answer all the questions. Okay. Scoring is very important, students. So prepare well from tomorrow. So it'll be right. I think you will take the advice. Actually, I don't want to advise the students since it is very be useful for your life to score the marks. Okay, prepare well for the MCQ question. So it is a 1 hour test, part A from 1:15 to 2:15. So 15 questions, 50 questions will be there. 50. So if you take 1 minute, 15 minutes is needed for that. So you'll be very fast in answering the questions. And from 2:30 to 3, that is 15 minutes break. We have the part B questions. Part B, you have to write. Okay, don't forget to keep the papers ready, pen, pencil, whatever. And very important one is wherever you have the diagrams, you have to use a pencil. It is a must. It is a condition. Okay. So suppose if the university asks all this, all your PDF or papers or the MCQ marks, we have to hand over this. So no malpractices, nothing.
what is this, boost up of marks, nothing will be done. So please, students, perform well. So if we have any networks issues or something, earlier itself, you have to inform this class in charge. Okay. So other step will be given to you. Right. Students, if there is any network issue or power down or shutdown, whatever it is, uh, mainly you have to make you available to write this for the test assessment test too. Unfortunately, if you're not able to write it, contact your class advisors and inform them in the previous day itself. Okay, so that will be going for another step, right, students? So don't forget, you have to score good marks, and all the best, guys. Have your lunch. Thank you, and join the class by 1:15. So from tomorrow, we'll be having the MCQ test from 1:15. So classes will not be there, right? Thank you. Hope you understood the assessment test too. Okay. If there is any doubt, you can contact your class in charges, class advisors.